Blood pooled around Elise Winters' designer heels as she stood frozen in the penthouse office, the billionaire's daughter, trembling with the smoking gun still in her hand. "He was going to destroy everything my father built," she whispered as waitress Maya Chen stepped from behind the bar, their eyes locking in silent understanding. In that moment, both women knew their lives would never be the same, one accidental witness, and one desperate heiress bound together by a secret that could ruin them both. "I didn't mean to kill him." Elise's voice cracked, tears streaming down her porcelain face. "Richardson was blackmailing my father, threatening to expose fraud that would have sent him to prison. I just wanted to scare him." Maya's mind raced. She was just covering an extra shift to pay her mounting medical bills. Now she was the sole witness to a homicide committed by the most recognizable heiress in the city. One wrong move and she'd lose everything: her freedom, her future, possibly her life. What Maya couldn't possibly know was that the dead man on the floor wasn't who Elise thought he was, and the real game had only just begun. If you're captivated by this deadly secret, hit like and let me know in the comments if you think Maya should help Elise or run. Maya's emerald eyes narrowed as she quickly assessed the situation. With steady hands that belied her racing heart, she locked the penthouse doors and turned to Elise. "We have exactly 17 minutes before security makes their rounds. Tell me everything. And I mean everything." The waitress who had served Manhattan's elite for 5 years had learned one valuable skill: reading people, and something about this killing didn't add up. Across town, Detective James Blackwood stared at the crime scene photos from an unsolved case that had haunted him for 3 years. The distinctive bullet pattern matched what his confidential informant had just reported from a Richardson financial building. His phone buzzed. An alert from the security system he'd personally installed in the penthouse level after the last attempt on Richardson's life. Someone had just disabled the cameras. James ran his fingers through his dark hair, a habit when his mind raced through possibilities. At 34, he'd become the youngest detective in the department's history through sheer determination and an uncanny ability to see connections others missed. The scars on his knuckles told stories of fights long past, but the real battles were the ones he fought within. Trust didn't come easily after what happened with his former partner. Back at the penthouse, Maya was making the riskiest decision of her life. "I'll help you," she told Elise, "but not because I believe you. Because I need something only you can give me." Maya pulled up her sleeve, revealing a medical alert bracelet. "My sister needs an experimental treatment your father's pharmaceutical company is developing. You get me that, I'll make this disappear." Elise's blue eyes widened, her long blonde hair falling across her face as she nodded slowly. "You don't understand what you're getting into," she whispered. "My father isn't who everyone thinks he is. Wow, this story is just beginning. If you're wondering what dark secrets Elise's father is hiding, subscribe now so you don't miss what happens next." The unlikely alliance between heiress and waitress began that night. Elise with her unlimited resources and Maya with her street smarts and connections from years of serving the city's powerful. What neither woman realized was that they were being watched, their every move tracked by someone who had orchestrated Richardson's demise from the beginning. 3 days later, Maya arrived for her shift at the elite rooftop restaurant, only to find Blackwood seated in her section, case file deliberately visible. "Interesting weather we're having," he said casually as she approached. "Almost as interesting as your sudden friendship with Elise Winters." Maya's heart thundered in her chest, but years of handling handsy executives had taught her to keep her expression neutral. "I don't know what you're talking about, Detective." "Coffee." James leaned forward, his voice dropping. "I think you do. And I think you're in way over your head. People connected to the Winters family have a habit of disappearing. Are you threatening me?" Maya's voice remained steady despite her fear. A smile played at the corner of his mouth, revealing the charm that had broken as many hearts as investigations had solved cases. "Warning you. There's a difference." He slid his card across the table. "When you're ready to talk, call me. Before it's too late." What Maya didn't tell him was that Elise had already secured the experimental treatment for her sister, Lily. The first dose had been administered yesterday, and for the first time in years, Lily had enough energy to walk around the hospital garden. Maya couldn't betray Elise now. Not when her sister's life hung in the balance. Meanwhile, Elise was discovering something about herself she never expected. Away from her father's controlling influence, and working alongside Maya to cover their tracks, she felt alive for the first time. The waitress challenged her, never cowered, treated her like a normal person rather than Winston Winters' untouchable daughter. It was refreshing. If you're enjoying this unexpected partnership, give this video a thumbs up. Comment below if you think James will discover their secret. The first major crack in their careful plan appeared exactly 2 weeks after Richardson's death. Maya arrived at Elise's penthouse for their now regular strategy meeting to find the heiress pacing frantically, her perfect composure shattered. "They found the gun," Elise whispered, her face ashen. "The one we dumped in the river. And there's something else." She handed Maya her tablet, displaying security footage that made the waitress's blood run cold. There on the screen was Maya, clearly recognizable, entering the building on the night of the murder. From an angle they hadn't known was recorded. Below the image, a simple message. 10 million by midnight or this goes to Detective Blackwood. Someone knows. Maya breathed. Someone's been playing us from the beginning. The realization hit her like physical blow. They weren't covering up a crime anymore. They were pawns in someone else's game. That same evening, James Blackwood received an unmarked envelope containing a single shell casing and a USB drive. The ballistics matched the Richardson case. But the video on the drive showed something impossible. Winston Winters himself entering the building minutes before the estimated time of death, and leaving shortly after, his hand bandaged. "What the hell are you up to, Winters?" James muttered, reaching for his phone to call for a warrant. Before he could dial, a text message appeared from an unknown number. "Dig into Project Phoenix first. You'll find Winters isn't the villain. Or the victim." Across town, Maya and Elise faced a devastating choice: pay the blackmailer with money they couldn't trace, or risk everything they'd worked to protect. As they argued over their options, something shifted between them. Fear giving way to something deeper as the adrenaline and shared secret forged a bond neither had expected. "I can get the money," Elise said, her hand unexpectedly finding Maya's. "But I won't let you take the fall for this. Whatever happens we face it together." Maya looked down at their intertwined fingers, surprised by how natural it felt. "There's another option," she said quietly. "We could tell Detective Blackwood the truth." Elise's eyes widened in shock. "You can't be serious. After everything we've done to cover this up?" "Think about it, Elise. Someone wanted Richardson dead. Someone's been manipulating us from the beginning. What if we're protecting the wrong person?" Before Elise could respond, her phone rang. Her father's private number. The conversation that followed would change everything they thought they knew. This mystery keeps deepening. If you're on the edge of your seat, subscribe now and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the shocking revelation coming next. "My father's dead," Elise announced hollowly as she ended the call, her face drained of color. "Apparent suicide. Left a confession taking responsibility for Richardson's murder." Maya stared in disbelief. "That's impossible. We know what happened. We were there." "Were we?" Elise whispered. "Think about it, Maya. I remember pulling the trigger, but I never checked the body. You pulled me away immediately. What if it was already a setup?" The realization crashed over them like a wave. They'd been covering up a murder that was designed to be discovered all along, manipulated by someone who needed both Winston Winters and Richardson out of the way. And now they were the loose ends. James Blackwood was piecing together the same conclusion, as he examined Project Phoenix files leaked to him by his anonymous source. Winston Winters and Richardson had been partners in developing a revolutionary cancer treatment, the very one now saving Maya's sister. But something had gone terribly wrong in the final testing phase. The partnership had fractured, both men threatening to expose the other, and someone at their pharmaceutical company had decided neither man could remain alive. The detective's phone rang. "Maya Chen. I need to talk to you," she said, her voice steady despite everything. "About the night Richardson died. And about Winston Winters." "I'm listening," James replied, already reaching for his car keys. The meeting place was the empty restaurant after closing. Neutral ground where Maya had spent years observing the powerful at their most unguarded. James arrived first, scanning the room with professional caution before settling into a booth with visibility of all entrances. Maya arrived next, alone, a fact that raised James' eyebrows. Elise wanted to come. Maya explained, sliding into the seat across from him. I convinced her to stay secure until we know who we can trust. Smart. James acknowledged. So you're finally ready to tell me what really happened that night? Yes. Maya said. But first you need to tell me what you know about Project Phoenix. Their conversation lasted hours, puzzle pieces falling into place as they shared information. The project had been groundbreaking. A treatment that could potentially cure several forms of aggressive cancer with minimal side effects. But the final trial results had been falsified. Dangerous side effects covered up, and now patients were beginning to show symptoms. Winters was going to come clean. James explained. His own daughter had been diagnosed with the same cancer the treatment was designed to fight. Richardson wanted to bury the evidence and continue selling the drug. Maya felt her blood run cold. Elise has cancer, she never said anything. It was kept very quiet. Apparently she's responding well to some alternative treatment. James narrowed his eyes. Why are you really helping her, Maya? What's your stake in this? Maya hesitated. Then revealed the truth about her sister. The treatment she's receiving, it's a modified version of Phoenix, isn't it? The real version. Not the compromised one they were bringing to market. James nodded slowly. And now someone wants both versions buried forever, along with anyone who knows the truth. Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of breaking glass. James was on his feet instantly, gun drawn. Hit down, he shouted, pushing Maya under the table as bullets shattered the remaining windows. If you're gripping your seat right now, drop a like, and comment who you think is behind the attack. This story is about to reach its most shocking turn. Maya's waitressing reflexes saved them both. She knew every inch of the restaurant, every hiding place and exit. Grabbing James' hand, she pulled him through the kitchen and into the walk-in freezer where she pressed against a hidden panel, revealing a narrow passage. Service corridor, she explained breathlessly as they squeezed through. Connects to the building next door. Owner's paranoid about robberies. They emerged into an empty office building, the sound of sirens growing in the distance. James pulled out his phone to call for backup, but paused when Maya grabbed his wrist. Wait, she said urgently. How did they know we were meeting? Who knew you were coming here tonight? The question hung between them, heavy with implication. James slowly lowered his phone. Only my captain. And whoever was listening through the department's compromised communications. We need to get to Elise, Maya insisted. If they came for us, they'll go for her too. The race to Elise's secret location became a desperate gamble through city streets, avoiding main roads and surveillance cameras that James now knew couldn't be trusted. When they finally reached the small boutique hotel where Elise was hiding under a false name, Maya's worst fears were confirmed. The door to the suite was ajar. The room beyond in disarray. We're too late, she whispered, heart sinking. Then she noticed something, a small origami crane on the floor, made from hotel stationery. Inside was a message in Elise's elegant handwriting. Third place, 10 p.m. Trust no one else. What does it mean? James asked, scanning the room for additional clues. It's where we first really talked. Maya explained. After everything happened. A place no one would connect to either of us. As they made their way to the meeting point, a small 24-hour diner in a forgotten corner of the city, Maya found herself reflecting on how quickly Elise had come to matter to her. What had started as a desperate bargain had become something neither woman had expected. The composed, seemingly cold heiress had revealed layers of compassion, intelligence, and vulnerability that few had ever been allowed to see. James noticed her expression and smiled faintly. She's gotten under your skin, hasn't she? Maya didn't deny it. She's nothing like what people think. Nothing like what I thought. Funny how crisis shows who people really are. James replied, his own expression thoughtful. Some break, others become who they were always meant to be. At exactly 10 p.m., they entered the diner, eyes searching for the distinctive blonde hair. Instead, they found a middle-aged waitress who approached them immediately. You, Maya. When Maya nodded, the woman handed her a key. storage room. She paid me to keep quiet. Elise was waiting inside the cramped space, a laptop open before her, her normally perfect appearance disheveled. When she saw Maya, her face transformed with relief. "You're alive," she breathed, rising to embrace her before noticing James and hesitating. "He's with us," Maya assured her. "He knows everything. Including about your diagnosis." Elise's eyes widened slightly before her composure returned. "Then he should see this too." She turned the laptop toward them. "I've been going through my father's encrypted files. He didn't kill himself, and he didn't kill Richardson. This was all orchestrated by the company's board, led by my godfather, Robert Keller. The evidence was damning: emails, financial transfers, and security footage showing Keller's involvement in both deaths. They needed my father silenced because he was going to reveal the truth about Project Phoenix. And they needed me to take the fall because I'm the heir to his controlling shares." "But why frame you specifically?" James asked, studying the documents. "Because of the alternative treatment," Elise explained. "The one that's actually working for me and Maya's sister. My father developed it in secret. Refused to patent it because he wanted it available to everyone. Keller and the board wanted it exclusively for the ultra-wealthy. Maximum profit from desperate people." Maya suddenly understood everything. "That's why you agreed to help me that night. You saw my sister's medical alert bracelet." Elise nodded, her eyes softening. "You weren't the only one with something to lose. I recognized your sister's condition immediately. She needed what my father had created, what Keller was trying to bury." James was already sending the evidence to the few people he still trusted in the department. "This is enough for warrants, but Keller has resources. Until we have him in custody, you're both still in danger." As if summoned by his words, the lights in the diner suddenly went out. The truth is finally coming to light. If you're invested in these characters, hit like nw and let me know in the comments if you think they'll all make it through what's coming next. The next few minutes were chaos, gunshots, breaking glass, and desperate movement through darkness. James pushed both women toward the back exit, placing himself between them and danger with his weapon drawn. "Go, I'll hold them off." In the alley behind the diner, Maya and Elise ran hand in hand, the sounds of pursuit never far behind. They ducked through service entrances, crossed through busy restaurants, and finally found momentary shelter in an abandoned subway maintenance room Maya had discovered years ago, during her urban exploration phase. "Do you think James is okay?" Elise asked, trying to catch her breath. "He's smart. If anyone can handle himself, it's him," Maya replied, hoping her words were true. "But we need a plan. Keller won't stop coming." Elise's expression hardened with determination. "Then we stop running and take the fight to him. My father kept evidence in multiple locations, fail-safes in case anything happened to him. There's one more place we haven't checked." The Winters family vault in the basement of their downtown corporate headquarters seemed impossible to reach. Until Elise revealed the one vulnerability in their security. The system does a complete reset every night at 3 a.m. For exactly 47 seconds, the biometric scanners reboot, relying only on the keycard access. "And I'm guessing you have a keycard?" Maya asked. Elise smiled, something fierce and unfamiliar in her expression. "Better. I have the master code that overrides everything. My father made sure I would always have access, no matter what." Their infiltration plan was desperate but precise. While Keller's men searched the city for them, they made their way through maintenance tunnels that connected the city's oldest buildings, emerging inside the parking structure of Winter. Just minutes before 3 a.m. "Whatever happens," Elise said suddenly, turning to Maya in the dimly lit concrete structure, "I need you to know something. Meeting you even under those circumstances was the best thing that ever happened to me." Before Maya could respond, Elise leaned forward and kissed her, brief but unmistakably meaningful. "For courage," she whispered with a small smile. At exactly 3 a.m., they made their move, through the service entrance, past the temporarily disabled security system, and into the heart of the building where the vault awaited. Elise's code worked perfectly. The heavy doors swinging open to reveal not just documents, but a fully equipped panic room. "My father was nothing if not paranoid," Elise explained as she accessed the computer system. "And thank God for that. What they found exceeded their wildest hopes." Not just evidence of Keller's crimes, but a direct video confession from Winston Winters himself. Recorded the day before his death. Explaining everything from the beginning. The modified treatment that was saving Maya's sister and fighting Elise's cancer. The corporate conspiracy to bury it. Richardson's involvement and subsequent elimination when he threatened to expose their plans. This is everything we need. Maya breathed, watching as Elise copied the files to a secure drive. Not quite everything. Came a familiar voice from the vault entrance. They turned to find James, battered but alive. Stepping into the room. Behind him was Robert Keller himself, a gun pressed to the detective's back. "I always knew you were too much like your father," Keller said to Elise, his distinguished features twisted with contempt. "Too idealistic. Too weak. The Winters empire wasn't built on giving things away for free. It was built on helping people." Elise countered, her voice steady despite her fear. "Something you never understood." Keller's laugh was cold. "Helping people doesn't build billion-dollar companies, my dear. Now hand over the drive, or I put a bullet in your detective friend here." The standoff stretched into unbearable tension, until Maya noticed something Keller hadn't. The panic room had its own security system. Controlled by a panel just inches from her hand. A system designed to protect whoever was inside. With a movement too quick to counter, Maya slammed her hand against the emergency lockdown button. Bulletproof barriers dropped instantly, separating Keller from James while simultaneously trapping the corporate executive in the vault's entrance chamber. "What have you done?" Keller screamed. His composure finally breaking as alarm sirens began to wail throughout the building. "Exactly what my father would have wanted," Elise replied, helping James to his feet. "And you should know. The vault's security system just sent all this evidence to every major news outlet and law enforcement agency in the country." The look of defeat on Keller's face was all the confirmation they needed. If you've made it this far in this wild journey, please like and subscribe to support more stories that keep you on the edge of your seat. 3 months later, Maya stood nervously backstage at the press conference, watching as Elise addressed the world with poise and conviction. "Today, Winters Pharmaceuticals begins a new chapter," Elise announced to the assembled reporters. "The Phoenix treatment will be made available at cost to anyone who needs it, regardless of their ability to pay. This was my father's dream, and it is now my mission." The applause was thunderous, but Elise wasn't finished. "None of this would have been possible without two people who risk everything for the truth." She gestured toward where Maya and James stood. "My partners in the new Winters Foundation, dedicated to making life-saving treatments accessible to all." As cameras flashed and questions flew, Elise found Maya's hand and squeezed it gently. "Not bad for a waitress and a billionaire's daughter, huh?" she whispered. Maya smiled, thinking of her sister Lily, now in remission and starting college in the fall. Of James, who had been cleared of any wrongdoing, and promoted after Keller's network within the police department was exposed. Of the patients already benefiting from the treatment that Winston Winters had fought to protect. "We did the impossible," Maya agreed, returning the squeeze. Later that evening, away from the cameras and celebration, Elise and Maya stood on the rooftop garden of what was now their shared penthouse. The city lights spread before them like stars. "I never thought I'd be grateful for the worst night of my life," Elise said softly. "But if it hadn't happened, I never would have found you. Some things are just meant to be," Maya replied, reaching up to brush a strand of hair from Elise's face. "Even if they start in the most unlikely ways." As their lips met beneath the night sky, both women knew that what had begun in crisis had transformed into something neither could have imagined. A partnership that had not only saved countless lives, but had ultimately saved them both from the prisons of their former existences. Sometimes the most beautiful beginnings come from the darkest moments. Sometimes the person who changes everything appears when you least expect them. And sometimes, just sometimes, doing the impossible simply requires finding the right person to do it with. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded that even the darkest moments can lead to unexpected light. Thank you for joining me on this journey.